You and I, again, Bear, have not spoken since the Keith Carter statement, since the reports on Saturday morning in regards to LSU. And obviously, we follow up today, and there's things that I heard that I want to get into. So in case you've been living under a rock, which I know nobody tuned in is, but I want to catch everybody up, get you up to speed. Obviously, what happened last week, all the rumors, is he staying at Ole Miss? Is he going to Florida? Is he going to LSU? We updated you guys Wednesday night into Thursday what we had heard. So Friday, obviously, was the big meeting. Athletic Director Keith Carter, we found out Chancellor Boyce was also involved, and Lane Kiffin. This statement is released on Friday. Quote, Coach Kiffin and I have had many poignant positive conversations regarding his future at Ole Miss, including me today with Chancellor Boyce while we discuss next steps. We know we cannot lose sight of what is most important, our sixth-ranked team that is poised to finish the regular season in historic fashion. Despite the outside noise, Coach Kiffin is focused on preparing our team for the Egg Bowl, and together we want to ensure that our players and coaches can concentrate fully on next Friday's game. This team is on the cusp of an unprecedented season. It's imperative they feel the support of the Ole Miss family in the week ahead. An announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game. So, the day after the Egg Bowl. Bear, really quickly, and I know you and I both shared our thoughts and opinions on this on social media, and I think you and I maybe agree on this. The moment I read that, I said, he's gone. There was just nothing about that statement from Keith Carter that tells me he's going to be back next season. I don't know how you can, and you never know with Kiffin. You never know. You genuinely never know. You can't say anything 0%. But I read that and said, he is absolutely gone. Like, it feels to me like they probably came to an agreement. Hey, you're leaving. We know you're leaving. Coach out the last regular season game. Keep this thing together through the week and to the Egg Bowl. Go win the Egg Bowl and sail off in the sunset on Saturday. And maybe I don't know. Like, that's what's so fascinating. We don't know if he leaves. Is he going to go to the playoff? We don't know what all those details are. But, I mean, Bear, you tell me. I read that. I'm like, there is no way he is back next year.
It's the most Lane Kiffin thing to just troll every single person and then go back, turn around, and do the whole I'm not leaving approach from Wolf of Wall Street, and I could believe that. My first thought went to, this is just going to end up being horrible for Ole Miss in their 11-win season because it's not going to happen. I don't know if you know this, Chris Phillips, but ladies and gentlemen, whenever there is a coaching rumor surrounding a guy at one of these two schools in the Egg Bowl, it doesn't go well. 1998, Tommy Tuberville, I will leave Oxford in a pine box. Well, they ended up losing the Egg Bowl that year. In fact, the final score of that one, 28-6. Dan Mullen, in 2017, I don't know if I'm going to take the Florida job. I'm really happy at where I'm at. I feel really confident in my team. 31-28 final score. You lose, you go to Florida. And then 2022, Lane Kiffin, rumored to go to Auburn. Remember that whole saga? Hey, want to go down to the Plains. We want to give him a lot of money. Landry said, you know what? Stick it around. Well, what happened that year? Well, sadly, after starting off the year in an impressive 7-1 feat, they lost all 4 of their last games, including the Egg Bowl, 24-22. So my first thought went to, as much distractions as we're trying to avoid, we're creating more and more and more and more and more distractions. And I'm now nervous for Ole Miss to actually accomplish this feat. That was the first thing I thought of. And then the second thing I thought of was, okay, where is he going? Because it's not going to be at Ole Miss. Guys, I could see it actually happening. I really could. He leaves the podium, 11-win season. He has the contract in his hands. He signs it right there in front of all the media members. We done? Like, I could easily see him do that. But at the same time, why are you not signing a contract when they're not going to give you anything else? They've given you the best offer that they have. They presented you with everything that you could possibly ask for, and you still didn't sign on the dotted line Friday. What's going to change in the next 6 days to where you're going to now sign before Saturday afternoon rolls around? What? LSU giving you a little bit more money? Florida coming up with a better offer? You realizing that both of those schools are actually rescinding some of that money and then you're content with it? Like, what's happening? They can't make an announcement because they got to wait until the Egg Bowl happens. But the announcement was made. It just is not in formality, written form until we get to Saturday morning. That's just it, in my opinion. And he's not going to be there on Saturday. And he's not going to be there for the college football playoff. And you know what? It's a damn shame, but it's also part of the issue in the world of college football. It is. And this is where the only time I will defend Lane Kiffin on this entire argument. The schedule needs to differ. The problem is that you can't do that in the current stage of college football. With early signing period, with the transfer portal, with all the roster moves and all the coaching carousels that are going on, you got to pull the plug now. That's what it is. That's what it is. So Lane's got to do what Lane thinks is best. But he didn't sign on the dotted line Friday. What makes you think he's going to sign on the dotted line next Saturday? Because I'll tell you what, if they are going to let him coach in the Egg Bowl, he has to sign. I mean, in the playoff, he has to sign. He does. So I agree with you. I think if they have come to an agreement behind closed doors, we know how important hosting a playoff game is for the city of Oxford. You can go. No hard feelings. We're going to hate you in about 3 to 4 months, but we'll get it. And we'll find a coach that comes on in and he believes in the future of Ole Miss. But the millions of dollars that we could bring on in simply by saying we host a playoff game is worth it. And you owe us that much. So go out there and win us the freaking Egg Bowl. That way we can at least say that. That was my theory.
Bear, I want to jump to this. Our guy, Marine Rebel, with a $4.99 super chat. Marine Rebel, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is an Ole Miss fan. I just want him gone. I get tired of this crap every year or two. Get somebody who wants to be here. I mean, listen, it is exhausting when you don't know if your coach, because his name is essentially out there every single year. I want to keep it moving because, again, there are more developments. Obviously, Saturday morning, Bear, we got the news that LSU was finalizing an offer to make Lane Kiffin their head coach. Ross Dellinger over at Yahoo Sports tweeted out on Saturday, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss met Friday. Confidence brewed in Baton Rouge. LSU's finalizing a near $90 million+ offer to the coach, blessed by the governor, and $25 million+ in annual roster cash, and its most serious push to gain his commitment, which we had kind of heard that from people that we had talked to, that the $15 million per year number, certainly we had heard that. I'd heard a little more in NIL. I thought it would be a little bit more, but essentially around that number, 30-ish million dollars, what have you. It sounds like all of the offers are essentially the same. So I tweeted out on Friday, and I actually got some word from some others that, people that I trust that felt really, really confident. Hey, this LSU thing is happening. Like it's more than likely going to be LSU. My confidence in him signing with LSU went up. I put it at like 65%. Right before we went live, I dropped it to 50%. LSU's still the leader, and I believe it was 30% Florida, 20% Ole Miss. There were two reasons I did that. Number one, I feel like with Lane Kiffin, anything above 50% for anybody is probably too much because I have no doubts he could absolutely pull the rug from under us and do something unexpected. The other reason is, what's interesting is this, and I've talked to folks down in Gainesville, and, there's different strategies of the thing. LSU's letting a lot of stuff leak. A lot of stuff is leaking. You'll notice nothing has really leaked from the Florida side outside of them going to meet with him on Thursday night. Well, the reason for that is because they have a search committee operating this coaching search. And when you have a search committee, things don't leak. There aren't leaks. That's the point of having a search committee. So there's actually a quiet confidence and belief that Florida is still in it. Again, that comes from Gator people, so take it for what it's worth. I still feel confident that LSU is the favorite. As of right now, today, I would say he signs with LSU. Again, I think we all agree it's the biggest long shot that he stays in Oxford. He's not operating like a guy where it's a priority to return to Ole Miss. He's just not. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if he does come back to Ole Miss, you're like, dude, why did you put us through that? Like, when you didn't have to. I mean, they would take him back in a heartbeat. And I wouldn't blame them if they did. But It's like, at this point, you're like, why would you put us through the ringer like that? Either way, I don't think it's going to be Ole Miss. I still feel confident in LSU. But again, I have heard there is a confidence from the Florida side. They feel like they are still very much in it. With that being said, because it's funny, Bear, this coaching search is so wild. You say anything positive about one side or just even like what I just said about Florida, oh, my God, LSU will blow a gasket. You say something about LSU, oh, Florida people, they blow a gasket. Ole Miss people blow a gasket. Everybody's all up in arms and all in their feelings on this coaching search. They feel confident they're still in it. They are prepared, though. They are operating as if, okay, we need to have that plan B in case plan A doesn't work because there's no guarantee. I think LSU is the one that feels certainly, again, the most confident they're going to land him. And there's also a belief behind closed doors, which I think is interesting, that LSU has the slight edge because apparently there's a belief from Lane Kiffin that LSU is in a better position to win immediately than Florida is. Now, obviously, Florida doesn't believe that to be true. I think that's sort of an up in the air debate. Whatever you think is what you think. I mean, I think there's pros to LSU. I think there's pros to Florida. And then there's cons to both as well, that you could poke holes in each of their cases. So, my question, Bear, to you is this, because this is going to be a weird week. We're going to talk about it when we break down the Egg Bowl. You talk about a distraction. My God. I mean,
it's the biggest one you could ever imagine. I don't
know how Ole Miss locks into the game. Again, we'll talk about it a lot more when we preview that game. The question I wanted to pose to you, Bear, and the audience as well, and I've thought about this, which fan base is going to crash out the hardest if they don't get Lane Kiffin? I think it's got to be LSU, because they have put all their eggs in this basket. Florida's going to be really upset. They're going to be pissed off at Scott Strickland. There's no question. I think Ole Miss is just going to be pissed off. And at that point, I think they're going to be like, you know what? Good freaking riddance, dude. Like, we're sick and tired of you. You've dragged us through the mud long enough. But I still think it's LSU. I think if LSU doesn't land Lane Kiffin, Baton Rouge might burn to the ground. I mean, I don't want to over-exaggerate. Jeff Landry might have to go in the witness protection program. Like, it will be that bad of a crash out. I am fascinated to see, because, again, when this thing finally comes together and he finally signs the dotted line somewhere, those other two fan bases, it's going to be pure cinema from both of them. Now that I'm excited, because we love all three of these fan bases. We love their fans, but it is going to be wild to witness.
I would say Florida is the one that crashed out the hardest. Okay. And here's the reason why. Because at the end of the day, LSU can turn in any direction and say, we will pay you sums of money to come be our head coach. We have the best recruiting background that you could ever ask for. We literally own the state. Everybody that is a 4 or 5 star, they don't dream about playing outside of Louisiana. They want to come play in Death Valley. We can build this thing on up. We can utilize the transfer portal. We can give you some resources to where if we think that we're just a few inches away, we're willing to spend the extra dollar. I think with Florida, once again, you swung and missed when it felt like with Jim McElwain. You swung and missed when it felt like when you had Will Muschamp. You swung and missed when you brought in Dan Mullen, even though I didn't think Dan Mullen was that bad of a hire. There's a lot of things that were going on behind closed doors that didn't see eye to eye. You swung and missed with Billy Napier. And now you're not getting Kiffin after talking a mad game that you were going to get Kiffin. I see people every single day from Florida have gone from, we're going to land him, shut up, we're better than you, we know that we're going to land him, you're an idiot, to, okay, wave the white flag, we might as well go ahead and call it misery, to, holy crap, we're right back in this thing, to, oh my God, I can't believe that we're actually not even going to compare to a team like Ole Miss. Like, Ole Miss has a lead over us, to, look at us, get back on the Lane train, we're all excited. Like, they have been so strung along, like the girl that knows she's never going to date the dude, but he is just trying to get every little ounce of her before he says, you're just damaged goods. That's going to be Florida. Because then where do you turn? Like, the thing about a team like LSU is probably going to convince somebody that we have not heard from to leave their post and come on down to Baton Rouge. Florida's looking at all these guys that are currently available. Eli Drinkwitz. All right, he lost this weekend. Brent Key. All right, well, he lost this weekend. Oh, how about we go with Alex Golish? G5 approach again? No, thank you. How about Bob Chesney? Shut up. Don't ever bring up a G5 head coach. We just went the Sun Belt route. So, like, it feels like for them, everything is so fixated on Lane, and they talked a big game that they could outwork LSU, and it's just a prominent job. I'm not sure you feel that way if you're Florida, because all the options that are available, they're struggling at this point. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I think you're all right, though. Ole Miss will be the one that's like, look, we're going to go bring in a good head coach. We got to retain as many of these players as possible. That way they don't leave us with Lane. But we may end up being in a good spot. I will preface this, though, to Ole Miss fans, because you know that I tell it as is, especially with you people. You're going to be fine. Fine to me is a 9-win season. The 11-win campaigns, you're going to have to find a coach that can elevate the status of this team, have the right resources, and prove that he can develop talent the way that Lane did. Because that was the one thing that Lane was a master at. Finding players in the portal, paying sums of money, and making them better prepared for the NFL. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that the next head coach. That's where I call the distinction and the separation of other people saying, well, Ole Miss will be right back in the playoffs. They may not, because that was the beauty of what Lane Kiffin brought. The attention to detail on understanding offensive and defensive talent. That was the difference between the two.
Bear, I want to jump to this comment really quickly. Our guy Cole Patrick says, Ole Miss is more immediate than both. Chris, what are you talking about? Cole, this is not my opinion on which program is more immediate to win immediately. This is between LSU and Florida. This has nothing to do with Ole Miss. So again,
Right.
I've been told by Florida people that there is a belief between LSU and Florida that LSU is in a better spot to win immediately than Florida. You're right. I mean, obviously, Ole Miss is a game away from going 11-1 and potentially being in the SEC title, certainly being in the college football playoff. You're absolutely correct. Again, this is not my opinion. That is the belief of what Lane feels between LSU and Florida. So I want to make that very, very clear. I'm not saying that, listen, I don't think those programs are in a better spot than Ole Miss at all. I mean, I literally posted today, listen, LSU and Florida both have talent. They can bring in talent. Like, I don't think it's some overnight fix with either one of them. I mean, look at the products on the field right now. I get guys are injured and it's a mess. You have no coach, but like, I don't know that LSU or Florida wins more games next year, even if Lane Kiffin takes their job than Ole Miss. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know.
Florida, yes, far and away. Florida has a shot to go 3-9 this year. Lane goes down there, they're going to win more than 3 games.
No, I'm saying wins more games than Ole Miss next year.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Florida don't go better than 3-9.
Okay, for LSU, if you retain Blake Baker as your defense coordinator and he can retain as much of that defensive talent, yes, I could see a scenario where they have more wins. I can't. Florida, I agree with you because you got to ask yourself, who's back? Like, how many of these players? Because the one beauty about a team like Florida, they have a lot of good offensive players. It is Nashawn Montgomery coming on back, Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, Jaden Baugh. By the way, Jaden Baugh, guys, priority in the transfer portal, priority if you're Florida to keep. Like, that is number one guy.
I've heard multiple. There are multiple SEC schools that want Jaden
I am
Baugh.
refusing to let him walk out that door. I am refusing. I will pay whatever it takes. But, like, they have enough offensive talent where a coach like Lane comes on in. He can at least make them, I would say, predominantly the focal point of the team. I think at LSU, you keep as many of the defensive names, plus you also keep Blake Baker on your staff, and then the rumor of Ed O coming on back in to coach defensive line. That's enough to make me enticed that they can get to a 9-10 win season. Now, I'm not saying they will. I'm saying it would entice me.
Want to jump to this one, Bear. G. Glimpse says, I can't see a world where LSU's fixing to pay $90 million plus $25 million, and NIL will also having to pay Brian Kelly $54 million. Like, there's no way they can afford that unless they have gold reserves. G. Glimpse, the mafia down in Louisiana is very real. I want to tread lightly when I say this because I don't want them to put me on their list next, but I know it does. You're not wrong. It seems crazy, but let me put it this way. There's a lot more money stuffed under mattresses than you think down there. I'll put it that way. This is a case of like, it just means more. It might mean too much, like really, truly, but they got it. I mean, they got it somewhere. Somebody's got it. So I get it.
Yeah,
so.
no. LSU had enough money to go ahead and look at Brian Kelly and say, we're good. They have enough money to pay for the next head coach. Like, you don't make that type of move if you don't know that you have the money set aside to be able to make that type of move.
No doubt. Bears, we move off the Lane Kiffin thing. Predictions going in the week. LSU. I mean, we're going to talk about this all week, so this isn't like your final one. I'm just, as of Sunday, November the 23rd.
He's a troll. It's Ole Miss. It's Ole Miss.
That would be so wild.
He's such a troll. Like, this is right up his alley.
That would be
right
wild.
up his alley.
That would be wild. That would be absolutely wild.
If the tea leaves are adding all up and you hear people talking about this gig and talking about how it is, this is the ultimate troll job from Lane Kiffin. Quite literally saying, no, definitely not you. No, definitely not you. I'm staying here. Let's go win us a playoff game.
I think he should do that, but I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say LSU. Again, I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. We're going to have time to react to all this when it happens. I will have a really hard time respecting Lane Kiffin if he quits on his team. I will. I don't want to get too far ahead because that may not happen. We don't know what scenario is going to play out. But the calendar, I get it. But man, and I don't know. Maybe if Ole Miss is telling him to walk and he wants to coach, then so I don't want to be too over the top here what I'm going to say. There's plenty of time to have these opinions, but man, it just kind of makes my stomach turn to think about that. It makes my stomach, even if they beat Mississippi State, it makes my stomach turn to think about this Ole Miss team. Again, the focus not at all being where it should be because he's walking after the final regular season game.
Can I ask you a question before we move on? In the world of college football where Lane has to go ahead and look at his future and say, what's best for me is to leave and go to LSU or Florida and not be in the playoff. Is there a scenario where several of the key players that have eligibility for Ole Miss also leave, thus hurting the team even more? Or because
I don't doubt it at all. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss has another year. I mean, who says he doesn't follow him?
I mean, what's the thing that LSU's been missing?
Are those guys playing for Ole Miss or are they playing for Lane Kiffin? I don't know. And I mean, it's a split, I'm sure.
So, that's the part that really hurts.
Yeah.
Lane's one thing. Taking the players that can help this program win a playoff game, that's another.